Alright guys, Mitch here. How's it going? Today we are going to start the install and the drivetrain components of the S-Works Tarmac SL7 build. So we're starting with the Sram Red build kit. This is the current version. I don't, by the time you see this, I've heard 2023 there's coming out with a different version of Red. So this is the standard 2022 build kit with disc brakes. So let's get this guy opened up. And today the goal is to get some of the brake lines run and some of the other installed. So we open up the kit and oh baby, look at that, some good stuff in here. So a bunch of manuals and what the heck is that? A cup holder. That's sweet. I'm gonna have to have some vegan coconut water after this. Anyway, let's go through it. So here we go. Gap set tool. So this guy would be, I'm guessing that's actually for the rear derailleur. A bunch of manuals, some more stuff. So bleed blocks for the brakes. We've got some charging components for the batteries, some cables, some hardware. Looks like a derailleur, if I do say so myself. There we go. There's your SRAM Red derailleur. That looks nice and crispy. Beautiful setup. A couple more batteries here. So what we're going to do is get these guys on the charger ASAP because they do take a little while, maybe half hour per battery, but may as well get those charged up. Keep on going down here. So here's our front derailleur with that little red thing there. That's actually the tool to set it. So once we install this onto the chain rings, onto the bike, we kind of align this tool onto the chain rings on the cranks and setup's a pretty simple piece of cake from that point. I guess I'm holding it wrong, but that would make more sense in this direction. So once it's clocked correctly over the chainring teeth, it makes it a breeze to set this up. And I know this is a problem. A lot of people aren't a big fan of the current SRAM Red finickiness, I guess you could say, on the front derailleur. But I'm telling you, I've got force, rival. As long as you set it up right, it is not a problem compared to the Shimano stuff. So there's that. And then we get into a couple of the other stuff here. So tiered kits. So we've got some disc brake rotors. I'm not going to take those out right now. There's no point. And then we've got the brake set, front and rear, and shifters. So are they pre-bled or are they, I'm kind of hoping they're not. They are connected. So we're going to have to disconnect these anyway because we're going to have to run this through the frame and fork. I was kind of hoping that they wouldn't be pre-bled and connected because then I'm not going to have to make a mess. But that's okay. We got everything good to go here. It's all good. Don't cry, guys, like me. You know, I've got a towel beside me so I can soak up the tears. We've got some hardware as well, and that is Torx, and I believe that's titanium as well. That's pretty cool. And same thing, longer, so this will probably be the rear brake on that side, which would make sense. And that's the build kit, fellas. Let's take a look at those rotors. Beautiful. Hopefully the camera can kind of pick up the brilliant machine quality on these. They look good. So that's the red kit. As well, I've got some red cranks. I'll do another video on that. But for the most part, I wanted to show the kit pre-installation here. So what I'm going to do now is kind of start to actually install some of this stuff on the bike. But I wanted to give you a quick overview of the build kit and kind of what we're going to go with. And give you a heads up before we get started. So let's get this rolling here. I'm going to start with running brake lines through the frame and fork and mount the hoods as well. So it's going to start looking like a bike, which is right beside me here. There it is. So there's the bike. Let's get started. I also just wanted to remind you guys here, I know this for a lot of people looks like a lot of work, and to a degree it is, but when you're doing it piece by piece and kind of doing one little tiny project at a time, it really isn't too difficult. It can be if you don't know what you're doing, but I'll be honest guys, every single one of these pieces I've looked, they all have videos on how to install it. SRAM does a great job of that as well, and it's not that difficult. You know, this stuff is made for the user, so if this is intimidating, I apologize, but it shouldn't be hard. Anyway, just wanted to say that. Let's get started. We'll mount up some brake line, or mount up some brakes, run some stuff through the frame, and get going. To start things off, I've mounted the rear brake, so we're just putting the hood on here just to kind of get it away on the bar. We're going to disconnect the brake line and then connect the back brake as well, and then run the line up through the frame and through the bar, through the headset, and reconnect it. All right, as we can see here, we've got the rear brake mounted, and what we can see here is we've got a brake line that needs to go into that frame. So we are going to probably disconnect the front off of the hood itself, or off the shifter, and then run it up the frame, through the bottom bracket, up through the bars, and back to the control. We're gonna have to shorten the hose as well, but that'll be next. Little update, guys. So what I'm doing now is I'm running the front brake through the fork. I've cut the top off at the shifter, and I'm gonna run this up through the fork. Starting, where is it? Starting right here, as you can see. So that guy is going in, and it's going to come up. All right, so we've got the brake routed through the fork and up to the steer tube. Just so you guys know, this is a big flex that I just did this. Didn't want to brag, but only took half an hour. All right, so as we can see on the back of the bike here, I've got the brake routed and mounted. Internal through the chainstay, goes up inside the bottom bracket here, and I can still feel it right here. And then it goes up the frame all the way to the top and through the steer tube, up and around and through. So now I've got my two cables coming out of the top here. And what we're gonna do is route that through the handlebar and then connect it to the shifter, cut things, and bleed it. So pretty simple. Nothing too crazy, but we're gonna connect that up now. All right, guys, so I've got everything routed through the headset, through the handlebar, and out to the brake levers now. Now nothing's connected or bled. As you can kind of tell, there's still some wires hanging off here, so I'm gonna go ahead and, to be honest, I might install something else just to make sure that they're the right length before I cut them. But I do have enough length on both sides, which shouldn't make these any kind of a problem. So that took me a couple hours on my side to do the brakes, and then obviously grease the headset, run everything, do it twice actually because I did it incorrectly, which is why a lot of these shops are paid well. So anyway, I've got the brakes on, and I'll probably do a bleed at some point here. Well, I'll obviously have to do a bleed at some point here, but as for now, it's rough set, and we can kind of start hanging some other parts here, like the wheels and cranks, to kind of finalize the cable length, and yeah, that'll be probably next step. So there we go, guys. Brakes installed and routed, and through the bars. So any questions, leave them below, and wish me luck here on the next steps. Okay, guys, see you next week.